Good morning, friends. I first of all welcome you all in the SY class. Today, myself, Dr. Sajid Sheikh, is here to talk regarding the chemistry. For the SY, there are the three papers of the chemistry. As you all know, there are the three papers of the chemistry for this year: chemistry 1, chemistry 2, and the chemistry 3. In the chemistry 1, 3 units will be there. In the chemistry 2, 3 units will be there. In the chemistry 3, again the 3 units will be there. For this semester 3, chemistry 1 will be taught by myself, and chemistry 2 will be taught by the Shoaib sir. Chemistry 3 will be taught by the Pawar sir. Today I am going to highlight the syllabus for this semester. The syllabus for this semester 3 for the paper 1, there are the 3 units. First unit is from the physical chemistry, second unit is from the inorganic chemistry, and third unit is from the organic chemistry. In the first unit, we are going to study the chemical thermodynamics. There is a free energy concept, Helmholtz free energy, Gibbs free energy. Then variation of these energies with the pressure and the temperature that we have to see. Then again we have to see the Gibbs Helmholtz equation and Topps equation and like this. Then we have to talk about the partial molar properties, their variation with the pressure and the temperature, Gibbs Duhem equation, fugacity and activity that we have to see. Then the second part of the unit 2 is the electrochemistry. In that we have to see the conductivity, some terms like the conductivity, equivalent and molar conductivity. Again their variation with the temperature and their variation with the dilution for the weak as well as the strong electrolyte. Again we have to see the Collard's law of independent migration of the ions, and we have to see the application of that particular conductance measurement in the determination of the degree of ionization constant of weak electrolyte, solubility and solubility product of the sparingly soluble salts and their products. Again some numericals are there based on this. Then next part in the unit 1 is the transference number and its experimental determination using the moving boundary method. Some numericals are there, and the factors affecting the transference number that we have to see in unit number 1. Then in the unit number 2 we have to see the chemical bonding. There are the two types of the bonding. One will be the directional bonding and another one is the non-directional bonding. In the non-directional bonding we have to see the ionic bond, then the conditions for the formation of this ionic bond, types of the ionic crystal, then radius ratio, lattice energy, Born-Landes equation, Kapulski equation, Born-Haber cycle and its application that we have to see. In case of the directional bonding, we have to see the covalent bonding. In that VBT is there, valence bond theory is there, its introduction. Then we have to see the interaction between the two hydrogen atoms and the potential energy diagram of the resultant system. Then corrections applied for the system for the two hydrogen atoms. Then the formation of the H2 molecule. Then homonuclear molecules like the helium and neon that we have to see. Resonance and the concept of the formal charge. Rules for the resonance or canonical structure. Then we have to talk about the bonding, then equivalent and non-equivalent hybrid orbitals. Then we have to plot, or we have to see the few examples of this particular orbital diagram. Then in the unit 3 we have to see the organic chemistry. In that reactions and the reactivity of the hydrogenated hydrocarbons. In that alkyl halide is there, nucleophilic substitution reactions are there. Second part is the organomagnesium and the organolithium compound, then the aryl halide and its reactivity, then the alcohols, phenols and the epoxide that we have to see under the part 3. First of all, today we will start the first unit, that is nothing but the physical chemistry. In that first part, chemical thermodynamics. Second, first of all, we will talk about the free energy. What is the free energy? Free energy is nothing but the important, it is very important because it gives the amount of available energy to perform useful work, that is to carry out physical or chemical process. The free energy change can be used to predict spontaneous nature of the chemical process. It is also used to study both the physical and the chemical equilibria. Now we have to talk regarding explain the difference in the, we have to see the different free energies functions. Two functions are there, Helmholtz free energy and next one is the Gibbs free energy. Helmholtz free energy is denoted by the symbol A. It is a work function and represents the maximum amount of energy which is available for being converted into work, that you can see. It is given by the relation A is equal to E minus Ts, where E is nothing but the internal energy, T is nothing but the temperature, S is nothing but the entropy. You know the entropy is nothing but the disorders present in that particular system. It is again the extensive property and the state function. The change in the Helmholtz free energy of a system is given by delta A is equal to A2 minus A1, which is equal to, substitute for the A1 and A2 is nothing but the E2 minus T2 S2 minus E1 minus T1 S1 at a constant temperature, that is T1 is equal to T2 is equal to T, then delta E is equal to E2 minus E1 minus T in bracket S2 minus S1. That means delta A is equal to delta E minus T delta S. This is about Helmholtz energy. For a reversible process at constant temperature, you can see that delta S is given by the Q reversible by T. That is nothing but T delta S is nothing but a Q reversible. Therefore, the Helmholtz free energy delta A is equal to delta E minus Q reversible. But according to the first law of thermodynamics, delta E is equal to Q plus W, where delta E is equal to delta E minus Q is equal to PV. Process is reversible. Therefore, work is equal to delta E is equal to Q plus W. If since the process is reversible, therefore that W max is given by W reversible, which is nothing but the W is equal to delta E minus Q reversible. On comparing equation number 4 with the equation number previous equation, that delta E is equal to delta A is equal to delta E minus T delta S. On comparing this equation, you will get delta A is equal to W max, or delta A minus delta A is equal to minus W max, which indicates that delta minus delta A gives the maximum work can be done by the system during the given chain. This is about the Gibbs Helmholtz free energy. Now we have to move towards the Gibbs free energy, that is denoted by the symbol G. It is a thermodynamic function and releases to the net work done by the system. It is given by the equation G is equal to H minus Ts. Previously, Helmholtz free energy was given by the symbol A is equal to E minus Ts. Here, internal energy has been replaced by the H. H is nothing but the enthalpy, T is temperature, S is entropy. It is again the extensive property and state function. Now, we have to see again the same The change in the Gibbs free energy can be given by the equation delta G is equal to G2 minus G1. We have to substitute for the G2 and the G1. For G2, you can substitute H2 minus T2 S1, H2. In another bracket, you can substitute for the G1. G1 is nothing but H1 minus T1 S1. At a constant temperature, T2 is equal to T1 is equal to T. That's why we can substitute for that particular T2 and T1 become the common. That's why delta G is equal to H2 minus H1. H2 minus H1. In another bracket, T is common, H2 minus S1. Delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. But at a constant pressure, delta H is equal to delta H is equal to delta E plus P delta V. On substituting this equation in the above equation, that gives delta G is equal to delta E plus P delta V minus T delta S. But delta E minus T delta S is nothing but delta A. Therefore, delta G is equal to delta A plus P delta V. This equation gives the relation between Gibbs free energy and the Helmholtz free energy change. Since delta A is equal to W max, therefore delta G is equal to W max plus P delta V. Therefore, delta G is equal to minus W max minus P V. But work done due to the expansion of gas against a constant pressure is given by the equation W expansion is equal to WXP is equal to minus P delta V. Therefore, delta G is equal to minus W max plus W expansion minus delta G is equal to minus W max minus W expansion. Therefore, delta G is equal to W net. This indicates that decrease in the Gibbs free energy minus delta G gives net work done can be done by the system during the given chain. See, basically we have seen the two different forms of the energies. One is the Helmholtz free energy and another one is the Gibbs free energy. Helmholtz free energy is denoted by the symbol A, whereas the Gibbs free energy is denoted by the symbol G. Then the next part we have to see significance of this particular Gibbs free energy. The change in the Gibbs free energy used to predict if the reaction is spontaneous or not. If delta G is negative, then the reaction is spontaneous. If the delta G is positive, then the reaction is the non-spontaneous. Means delta G should be less than 0. And if the delta G is positive, that means the delta G should be greater than 0. If delta G is equal to 0, then the reaction is at the equilibrium. Then we can see the variation of the sign of delta H, delta S and the spontaneous nature of the chemical reaction. That is already mentioned in the table. You can see if the sign of the delta H is the negative, that indicates the exothermic. If the sign of the delta H is the positive, that indicates the endothermic. Means heat is evolved and heat is absorbed. Sign of delta S is negative, negative. Sign of delta G is negative and the positive. When the sign of delta H is negative, at that time exothermic reaction is there, sign of the delta S is negative and the sign of delta G is negative, then the reaction will be always spontaneous. But when the delta H is positive, that means the endothermic in the reaction is endothermic in nature, then sign of delta S become the negative, then sign of delta G become the positive. At that time reaction will be the non-spontaneous. Third case and the fourth case, you can see if the sign of delta H is negative, delta S is negative, but at low temperature delta G is negative, then the spontaneous nature is there. At high temperature delta G is positive, non-spontaneous will be there. If delta H positive, delta S is positive. If at high temperature delta G is negative, then the spontaneous reaction will be there. At low temperature, if the delta G is positive, then the non-spontaneous reaction will be there. You can compare that signs of different terms. That means the change in enthalpy, change in entropy, and how that affects the spontaneity of the reaction. That is mentioned in the table. You can see positive, then if the delta H is negative, then delta S is negative, delta G is again negative, then always reaction will be the spontaneous. You can see here, if the delta H is positive, delta S is negative, and sign of the delta G is positive, then the non-spontaneous reaction will be there. That we have to remember. It may come for the MCQ purpose of view. Now we have to see the important part. The important question is there, which comes always in the question paper. Show that the variation of the free energy with the temperature and the pressure, or show that you can see in the square bracket del delta G upon delta P at constant T is equal to V, and the second part is the in square bracket delta G upon delta T. We have to prove the two things. One is the in the you can see first in the square bracket delta G upon delta P at constant T is equal to V, and the second part is in the square bracket delta G upon delta T at constant P is equal to minus S. That V is nothing but a volume and S is nothing but a entropy. We will solve this derivation, that we have to see variation of this free energy with the temperature and the pressure. As we see in the Gibbs free energy, and which is given by the relation G is equal to H minus Ts. This is the equation number 1. For infinite small for the infinitesimal small reaction, small change in each property, the above equation can be written as delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S minus S delta T. This is the equation number 2. But you know enthalpy is given by the equation H is equal to E plus PV. This is the third equation. For infinitesimal change, means for the small change, delta H is equal to delta E plus P delta V plus V delta P. When we are differentiating this equation, at that time, if the two components are there, means the product is there, at that time we have to keep one of the component is constant, and we have to differentiate another parameter, and then we have to keep another parameter constant, and the first we have to differentiate. Accordingly, we have differentiated delta H is equal to delta E plus P delta V plus V delta P. This is the equation number 4. This is the rule of the integration. From first law of thermodynamics, you can write delta E is equal to delta Q plus delta W. This is the equation number 5. For reversible change in the closed system, you can see delta W is equal to minus P delta V, and delta Q reversible is equal to T delta S. This is the equation number 6. On substituting equation number 6 in the equation number 5, you get the delta E is equal to T delta S minus P delta V. On substituting equation number 7 in equation number 4, you will get the delta H is equal to T delta S minus P delta V plus P delta V plus V delta P. This is the equation number 8. On substituting equation number 8 in the equation number 2, you will get delta G is equal to T delta S minus P delta V plus P delta V plus V delta P minus T delta S minus S dt. We can cancel the similar term, then you will get delta G is equal to V dP minus S dt. This is the equation number 9. Then case 1, in the case 1 we can see, then we have to complete the given task that we have to prove. First it was in the square bracket delta G by delta P at constant T is equal to V. For this case, we have to consider the case 1, then variation of this particular free energy with the pressure at a constant temperature. That means delta T tends to 0, H delta T tends to 0. That is the equation number 9. You can see earlier we have seen already the equation 9 is nothing but the delta G is equal to V dP minus H dt. In that we can, when the first case is that when there will be the delta T is equal to tends to the 0, at that time H delta T becomes the 0. Then equation number 9 becomes delta G is equal to V dP, because H dt becomes 0. That's why only left term will be the delta G is equal to V dP. You take delta P to this left side, then you can write delta G upon delta P is equal to V, which is at the constant temperature. That's why we have written in the subscript that capital T. This is the your first variation of this Gibbs free energy with the pressure at constant temperature. Then we have to see the exact reverse case. That will be the case second. Variation of this Gibbs free energy with the temperature at constant pressure. Then now we have to prove the second part. Second part is the second part is the in the square bracket delta G upon delta T at constant P is nothing but is equal to minus S, that we have to prove. For this particular thing, we have to consider variation of this particular Gibbs free energy with the temperature at constant pressure. Automatically, when we are considering the constant pressure, that means the delta P becomes 0 and automatically VdP becomes 0. Therefore, the equation 9 becomes delta G is equal to minus S dt. S delta T. Now what we can do? We will transfer that delta T to the left side. Then equation becomes delta G upon delta T at constant P is equal to minus S. That was the second part of our question. See, this question will be for the MCQ purpose also. This question is of the 5 marks. In the exam, always the question is based on this particular part is there, that you have to prove these things. The question will be like that in the wording form. The question will be in the wording form or say in the second form. There will be the question like the show that the variation of the free energy with the temperature and the pressure, or show that the first thing is that in the square bracket delta G upon delta P at constant T is equal to V, or delta G upon delta T at a constant P is equal to minus S. The equation derivation is very simple one, as we have seen already. Gibbs free energy is given by the equation we have discussed, G is equal to H minus Ts. Then for infinitesimal small change in each property, that the above equation can be written as delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S minus S delta T. This is the equation number 2. But we are already known this H is equal to E plus PV. See, these two particular forms of energy that we have seen, one is the Helmholtz free energy and the second one is the Gibbs free energy. Again, I will talk regarding this. What the use of this particular energy? Out of these two energy, we are dealing with the Gibbs free energy most prominently. You know that we have seen already, Helmholtz energy is nothing but the work function and represent the maximum amount of the energy which is available for being converted into work. And in the similar way, we have seen the Gibbs free energy. It is nothing but the thermodynamic function and relates to the net work done by the system. This is the difference between the Helmholtz free energy and the Gibbs free energy. Means to study the work done during the reaction, we have to use the Gibbs free energy. That Helmholtz free energy is given by the equation A is equal to E minus Ts. There is an internal energy, and here when we talk about the Gibbs free energy, at that time there is the enthalpy. Now, then we have seen how that particular Gibbs free energy relates to the net work done. Then we have seen the significance of the Gibbs free energy. Significance of the Gibbs free energy means when the delta G is negative and when the delta G is positive and when the delta G is 0, at that time what will be the status of the reaction? When the delta G is negative, at that time reaction is the spontaneous, and when the delta G is equal to positive, at that time reaction is when the delta G is positive, at that time the reaction is the non-spontaneous. Similar way, when the delta G is equal to 0, at that time reaction is at the equilibrium. It is very much important part because it comes in the form of the MCQ's purpose. It may comes in the forms of the true or false. It may comes in the forms of the match the pair. That's why it is very much important part for the multiple choice question. The question will be based on this. When reaction is positive, at that time delta G is ... or When the delta G is positive, at that time reaction is dot 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 dot. Likewise, the MCQs will be there. Then in the next table, we have seen the sign. Here we have seen the signs of this delta H, delta S. It is again useful for the multiple choice question that you have to remember very well. When the exothermic reaction is there or say endothermic reaction is there, at that time you know when the exothermic reaction is there, at that time delta H is negative because energy is released. And when the delta H is positive, that means the reaction is endothermic, means heat is absorbed. Exothermic is nothing but heat is released, and endothermic is nothing but the heat is absorbed. That is very much important, which again decides the spontaneity of the reaction, whether the reaction is spontaneous or not. This table we have to remember properly. Then important question that we have discussed already, because this 5 marks question will be the fixed one that you have to prepare it well, because which depends on the variation of the Gibbs free energy with the temperature and the pressure. All have to do this very well. This derivation is very simple one. If you have any doubt, you can freely ask on the group. I think so you already written these notes, because I think so you got these notes already, and as well as the syllabus you already written. If you are getting any difficulty, you are free to ask on the WhatsApp or say Telegram group. This question is very much important that I said, because variation of this particular Gibbs free energy with the temperature or pressure, or in the another form, that question will be there. You have to prepare this derivation well. There is no difficulties in this derivation. We should know the Gibbs free energy, that is given by the G is equal to H minus Ts. Then we have to consider the for small change in the any property, or say in each property of this particular equation, at that time we have to take the symbol daba. Daba is nothing but a partial change or say small change. When we write the D, that is nothing but a full change. Daba G is equal to daba H minus T daba H minus H daba T. Then again we are substituting next term H, that enthalpy is given by the E plus PV. Then for the infinitesimal change, means for the small change, that delta H is nothing but a daba H is equal to daba E plus P daba V plus V daba P. Then from the first law of thermodynamics, you know internal energy daba E is given by equation daba Q plus daba W. Then for the reversible change in the closed system, daba W is equal to minus P daba V, and daba Q reversible is equal to T daba S. This is equation number 6. On substituting this equation number 6 in the equation number 5, daba E is equal to T delta S minus P delta V. On substituting equation number 7 in the equation number 4, you will get daba H is equal to T daba S minus P daba V plus P daba V plus V dP. This is the equation number 8. We have to substitute this equation number 8 in the above equation, that our previous equation, equation number 2. Daba G is equal to daba G is equal to T daba S minus P daba V plus P daba V plus V dP minus T daba S minus S dt. T daba S, T daba V will get cancelled. P daba V will get cancelled. The left term will be the daba G is equal to V daba P minus S dt. Then case 1, variation of this Gibbs free energy with the pressure at constant temperature. Then the variation of the Gibbs free energy with the temperature at constant pressure. We will get the desired equation, that is nothing but a daba G upon daba P at T is equal to V. And by variation of this Gibbs free energy with the temperature at constant pressure, it gives the daba G upon daba T at constant P is equal to minus S. That you have to prepare well. If you have any problem, any difficulty, you can freely ask on the group, Telegram group or say WhatsApp group. You are free to ask any question on this particular group. Thank you for this today's session.